Well, thank you for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is the eSkill PCSU Skills Testing Strategies to enhance your hiring and training. We are thrilled to have you here with us today. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker, Kelly Painter. Kelly is the Client Success Manager at eSkill and has over 17 years of experience working with talent management solutions. She is deeply committed to helping clients succeed in their hiring and training, and she is going to kick us off. Kelly?
Thank you, Sheila. So thanks everyone for joining us today. I know that Mondays can be a little bit busy after a nice relaxing weekend. So we kind of come in and get everything taken care of in the morning. So thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon. I want to introduce basically who I call an individual that I've worked with, and his has been exceptional to work with, and I've worked with hundreds of clients over the years. So my co-presenter today is Michael, who has been a tremendous support person, and truly someone who has a vision of what we can really do to help integrate new solutions into an organization. So I talked to him and requested that he share some of those insights on how he gets things done and makes them seem so effortless as he does it. And just a little bit about Michael. He has over 20 years of experience in organizational development. He is a business partner at PSCU, and having been on many calls with him in the way that he works within his organization has really just been tremendous in highlighting some really great best practices, but also how he builds this unique consensus in the organization and gets input from his stakeholders. So at the end, when we have a solution and everyone has had a say, we all feel confident that we're moving in the right direction. So I just wanted to introduce Michael just really quickly, and I will turn it over to him once I've had a chance to go over the agenda. Okay, so for today, we will talk a little bit about PSCU and eSkill, just at a high level, just understanding the two organizations. And then Michael will go into this journey with deciding to utilize a skills testing individual organization to help support what their strategy was, and then how they really looked at the landscape of all of the vendors that are out there and all of the solutions and the different approaches, and why they chose eSkill as part of that process. And then the process for how he has socialized and implemented the assessment throughout the organization. And then we'll leave some time at the end for questions, but I would encourage everyone, if you have a question, because we have everyone on mute, please use the chat feature to enter the questions in chat, or I think there's a section in there for questions. Go ahead and enter your questions as they come up during the presentation, and Adina will take a look at those at the end, and we'll address those at the end of our session today. All right, so again, thank you everyone, and let's get started. All right, so I'll turn it over to Michael to introduce you to his organization, PSCU. Michael?
So thank you very much, Kelly, for the great introduction. And I also want to say it's been a privilege and an honor to work with you in eSkill. So the feeling is very much mutual. So everyone, I just want to give you a quick overview of PSCU. We've been in business for over 40 years. We were founded by credit unions and they own us. It is a cooperative. PSCU is a cooperative. Also, we are really truly dedicated to providing the best service that we can to our credit unions. We can go on to the next slide. We are basically a payment company. CUSO is short for Credit Union Service Organization. And once again, we work with a tremendous amount of credit unions that you can see around over 1,500. And we do nearly 4 billion transactions a year. That means credit cards, debit cards. We also provide very cutting edge technology suites to our credit unions for online service. So people can go and check their accounts. They can do transactions. We are seeing a tremendous move with COVID-19 to people wanting contactless payments and using really more through your phone. And so that's really the direction that we're headed to provide the best service and technology that we can to our credit unions. Okay, next slide, Kelly.
Okay, I'll take this just a quick minute to just give an overview of eSkill. And So for those of you who are not familiar with eSkill, eSkill's been around for quite some time. Back in 2003, our co-founder, Eric Friedman, actually thought it would be a great idea to come up with this concept of allowing people to take skills testing online. And so from that idea, we have grown into an organization that is developed into a very unique platform that offers a lot of feature sets to really accommodate the recruitment, the identification of training opportunities, and just gathering information about a skill set that an individual may have. Either we asked about knowledge, or we look at how they could demonstrate that particular skill for us. And the platform really enables that, along with this massive library of information that we've provided, and we continue to grow pretty much on a weekly basis. So that's a little bit about eSkill. One of the things that we really strive to do as part of our service, about 4 years ago when I joined eSkill, well, actually it's been 5 years now, we really wanted to focus on the customer, and we wanted to focus on how can we help our customers, and we really paid attention to understanding what were the needs. So we address, making the best hires. Obviously, we want to find those quality candidates that have the basic skills that they need to be successful. We want to reduce that time to hire. We have a big push because of COVID-19 right now to try to take interviews online and to make sure that we have individuals that are being screened appropriately, whether it's in an online setting or in a video setting. Right, and certainly want to increase compliance and reduce risk and ensure candidates and employees excel at their jobs. Right, if we find those individuals that have those basic skills, they have a better opportunity to be successful in the long term for the role, and that's really our goal as part of this new customer-centric focus at eSkill. So Michael, I'm going to turn it back over to you and have you explain this journey that you've been on in finding eSkill, number one, but two, also partnering with us. Take it away.
All right, so it was a great journey in finding eSkill, and I'll talk about that. And eSkill for our company is a strategic partner. They are not a vendor. And I intentionally picked that title because Kelly and everyone at eSkill that I've partnered with, they have always been strategic partners with us over, I don't know, the last year or so. So I want to give recognition to that because not everyone is a strategic partner. Okay? So in short, our contact center was looking for a new strategic partner to help provide a pre-hire assessment for our contact centers, which are call centers. We have around, I think, 1,000 or 1,200 people in our call centers. And we really want to try to find a good replacement that could better identify the talent that would be a good fit for our company and for the type of work basically that's done. And I was a project manager of the previous one for the previous vendor, and they asked me to come back. And so I said, I'm happy to come and serve the contact center again. Our team had people from talent acquisition. We had a vice president and a recruiter. We had our HR business partners, and we had the contact center leaders. We had a good cross section from the different locations. And of course, myself as the project leader. Okay. We reviewed 12 high quality companies. We had some really big names in each category. And then the best part was as we were going through, this is a very methodical approach. We would go through, I would do a pre basically interview with each of the companies. I would let them know who the people are, how to be prepared. I had everything structured around an agenda. And then we would actually have the session. Then I would do a debrief with our team after and get feedback from them. And when we had the eSkill demo, it went great. No matter what question that our team asked, Kelly had an answer for. If they didn't have the functionality now, Kelly knew the product roadmap of when something would be available. And then so we did the debrief right after. And I went around to everyone, I did myself last, and everyone said, yes, this is our vendor. We want this. This is going to be our strategic partner. They all went around and said it. They said it was flexible. It was fantastic, ease of use. The other thing too, we're in a high growth mode. And literally in 2 to 3 years, maybe even 4 years, each of our business units may look very different. We don't even know what kind of assessments we're going to need going forward, but we feel the best partner out of a great group of companies that they were the best one to work with us as we are growing and developing, and we're not even sure of everything we're going to grow and develop to. And that was absolutely fantastic. Also, another big win was having Kelly as our account manager. That was a huge advantage. And then basically myself and our HR business partner, we have been organically identifying opportunities throughout the organization. So it's not a forced marketing campaign. And what we're finding out is after I explain just at a high level of what eSkill can do, we have leaders saying, yeah, I want to try that. I want to try that. And the ease of use in working with Kelly and her team has been phenomenal. Okay. So now next slide. Okay. So the successes that we've had have been phenomenal. Our biggest one is we're doing a pilot right now for a pre-hire assessment. We're in our last month of that. Our fraud contact center, which is different than our regular contact center, they want to basically have an assessment, once again, to have a better match with our company culture and our skills. And so we're in the last 2 to 3 weeks of it. It has been going extremely well. We literally have a new hire class of folks coming in to be agents, and they take the assessment post-hire. Then we review all the data. Kelly has been magnificent in reviewing the data and sharing that with us and making connections for us on which question should say, how do we modify something. It's been really a great opportunity and process. We're very excited with it. We will go live in January 21 with it, which is very exciting. So everyone is completely bought on board with it, talent acquisition, employee relations, which was part of it, and of course the business. Okay. I also created 2 scalable assessments with account management. They have a combination role of servicing our credit unions and also looking for opportunities where they may want more product and services. And that's a pretty large area. So basically we could take those assessments and scale them out really for the entire business unit. Also for the consultative approach, it's a program that I created internally. It's about how to be a really good consultant, also virtually and remotely, because a lot of our folks now are remote. We've had huge success with it. And so Kelly actually created a custom assessment based on the actual content. I sent over the content to her, and she literally took the content and said, here are the questions that you'll need. We are going to be going live with that in January as well. We're getting very strong traction on that from the business, and we want to measure pre and post. The program is a total of 4 months. So we're going to do a pre-assessment, and then we're going to do a post. And so we're going to be able to look at that knowledge transfer and gain, and then where they can be coached. We're also moving towards a coaching culture with eSkill, because now we can really focus on where we want to coach specifically for folks. Let's see here. And then the other thing that's really cool, and if we do another session, we can show you, we're actually creating a coaching guide where we're integrating the data from eSkill for each person. And then we're a strengths organization with Gallup. We're also combining strengths with eSkill, and we're in the process of creating a coaching model. We're going to combine all those together so it's more unified. Once again, we're still in the middle of creating the coaching guide, but if there is another opportunity, I'm happy to share that with you and how we did it. And so once again, eSkill is playing a very important role regarding our coaching culture, because you want to take those trends and data and then use that in a coaching fashion. Of course, also for training and development as well. Okay, Kelly, is there anything that you would like to add?
No, you described it perfectly, but from where I sit, this might be business as usual for PSEU, and the way, Michael, that you handle the socialization of a new idea. But I know that being on those calls, every person knew exactly why they were there. They knew they needed to give input, and they knew it was important. And when we were able to turn things around and say, "Oh, okay, that's what you're looking for. Let's make sure that we can we will create this assessment that will do this for you. And here's the reporting that we can provide to you." So I think once we, as a team, we built that credibility, then I think it was a lot easier to get people on board to say, yes, I'm in this, and I'm in this with you because you're going to help me realize what is in my head and what I think it should be, and how we can actually execute that plan. So yeah, you just made it look effortless.
Thanks. The one thing I will tell you, most of our organization is operational, about 2/3. And I typically work with the operational side because they're the biggest business units, and that's where a lot of my demand comes from. Fraud is an operational unit. And one of the things that really resonated with one of our managers, Sean, you know what he said? He said, I love the data from eSkill, because then they start to play with it and they start thinking about it. They start tying in other connection points. and it really helps drive a conversation around the talent in your organization. And that was one of the most powerful things, and that's one of the things we're really excited about as we continue to expand in 21, which will be a top project for me, of having our folks, especially in the operational areas, where they look at that data, and then the magic starts to happen around conversations. Okay. I'm good for the next slide if you're ready, Kelly.
Okay.
Okay. So for 21, this is going to be a top project for me. We really want to fully integrate it into our organization as much as we can over the coming year. Once again, we do it organically. We have a new business partner that's coming. She's already on board. She's a super believer in the assessments. She has a tremendous amount of opportunities for her clients as well, so we're excited about that. I'm doing a BU presentation probably in early January for one of our largest BUs. I was working with him on another topic and just mentioned it to him. He's interested in it. So it's just about having conversations and talking to leaders about it. So it's not forced. Every company is different. I've worked at companies where there's 100,000 people, and sometimes they may do it in a more systematic approach. So it depends on your culture of what was going to work for you. We're also going to we're going to fully integrate eSkill into all of our leadership programs. So we have a new emerging leader program. There'll be a pre-assessment and a post, frontline leader and VPs. Once again, we're shifting to a model of coaching. So as we get the assessment data, we can use it for the actual training event. And then the leaders will be expected to coach around their development areas that we identify. And so this is a huge advantage to us of continuing our goal of creating a coaching culture at PSCU. Okay. The pilot for succession planning is fraud. They're actually planning, once we get done with the pre-hire, we have another 4 levels where we're going to be doing is strictly for development. Succession planning is going to be a huge part of that. We want that to be the pilot for our entire company. We're really excited about that piece because in succession planning, we feel this is going to bring more objective data into the company and into dialogue and conversations. So very, very excited about that pilot. We'll be looking to expand that throughout the company as leaders say we want to try it. Okay. We also create custom IDPs. I created the custom IDP for several of our leaders based on the results that we've had. We'll further customize the training. And then we're really excited about career matching and mobility. I believe career matching is a feature that will come live sometime next year in eSkill, but that ties strategically into us. We're looking to do more career development and mobility inside PSCU. And after people take an assessment, we'll have a better idea of where they can go. So we're very, very excited about that. That will help open up great dialogue on where people can go based on their skills and their development. All of our OD interventions will be integrating it wherever we can, so we're very excited about that. And the best part is our clients love it because when there's an OD intervention, we pay for it. They don't have to pay for it. And so that's one of the things we also notice that our clients, like when we do an intervention with them and we're paying for it, they're like, fantastic. Eventually, they're going to want it themselves, which we've already had initial interest from some of them saying, after a few months of really like it, we're going to get our own seats with eSkill. Okay. Super excited that I believe right now eSkill has skills and behaviors, and next year they have career matching and mobility. The combination of the 3 together when they're finally done is going to be magnificent. It is a perfect fit for our company and where we're going. Kelly, thoughts from you on this?
Yeah, a little bit. I wanted you to say a little bit more about the succession planning, because I know that some people like they'll wrap their heads around, oh, succession planning is just who's going to be put in the which slot, like it's
Yeah.
just moving pieces. And I think that your approach to how succession planning was completed, just for those couple of instances where we did that, we did a test, we were trying to understand, where's their mindset around certain topics. So can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So currently in succession planning, one of my coworkers, I've worked with her for 4 years now, Elizabeth, and she has been heading that up. And we have another associate, Barry, who's joining. So basically what they do now is they have to create a profile for basically each executive and for succession. And then for a manager level, they still have to kind of do a mini version of that. They have to pull a ton of data. So in the succession planning now that we have, it's hard to get objective data. We do 360s with Korn Ferry, and they're very good. But what our leaders are struggling with is how do you take the 360 data and how do you put that into succession planning? What I was really excited about with eSkill is that you're going to get a set of data that's objective, around their skills, behaviors, etc. That can be very informative. And so we plan on using it in the actual sessions. We actually take the eSkill data, we would queue it up, look for trends, and then look for each person who's in succession. And succession is not just putting someone in a box saying they will take this role in 3 years. You actually have to actively develop them. If you don't develop them, then they may not end up getting the role. And that's where eSkill plays such an important role versus a 360, which you might get 1 or 2 or 3 development areas out of it, but it doesn't have that objectivity to it. And that's what we really want our leaders to have, that data, so they can be more objective and ask, more probing questions. And so we see this as a potential game changer for us in succession planning in 21 and beyond. I don't know, Kelly, does that answer your question?
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, ready to move on?
Yep, maybe move on. Yep.
All right, perfect. Oh, it looks like we're wrapping up then.
The demos. Oh boy, some stories on this one. So I have to really say a huge shout out to Kelly and Taylor, who was our sales executive, and of course Taylor, his manager, joined us on some calls. We had, for the contact center, at least, I don't know, 3 or 4 demos. And in every demo, because sometimes people couldn't make a demo, and then we had to get their SVP. So but eSkill was always very patient, always came prepared, could answer every question. Once again, knew the roadmap. And then I was noticing, I'm like, hey, wait a second, this thing is really great. During the journey with the contact center, I said, this is really great. I think I want to do one for my team and my SVP and my manager. And so we had the session. We're in the room. That was pre-COVID-19. We were all looking at each other. And the reaction from everyone in the room was, we want this thing. We want it. I believe Deb, who's my manager, I think she probably asked you like 70% of the questions. She was so excited about it. And Michael, who's my SVP, he said, love it. And he said, move forward with it. It only took one demo to make that decision for our department. We had a couple more to better understand all the things you could do with it, but really that one. Then for the fraud contact center, we had about 2 or 3. Once again, it was a hard time getting schedules. Once again, no matter what question was asked, really they had always had the answers. And so from a demo perspective, I will tell you, hands down, eSkill was the best at doing all of the demos. And they had stiff competition, Fortune 500 companies, top medium-sized firms, and small boutique firms, but always came prepared, always had the answers. And so the one thing I will tell you about the demos is when you have one with them, it will be a delight. I also tell you that the technique that I used with every company was I would always do at least a half-hour prep with the company, so they could ask questions about me, the team. I would describe each team member, what they're looking for. I would have an agenda. I would have critical results of what I was looking for. I always wanted each company to come in to shine and give their best. I didn't want them to come in and be surprised by anything. And so I felt I went overboard with each of the companies because I wanted them to have a fair chance at getting the business. And eSkill was there every single time. And it was a wonderful part of the journey. And then when we went to the contracting stage, because we're our financial services company and we have access to sensitive data, the review process is about 2 to 3 months to get a contract through. And once again, eSkill was there. Taylor was there, his manager, Kelly was there, and we worked through issues to get them solved. And then, of course, we finally got it solved, and then it's been going fantastic. It's been going fantastic since then. But they have been with us during that journey, and they earned that. They earned it. I mean, they earned it really well. And once again, when the business units see it, it's typically they make a decision very fast on wanting it. Okay, Kelly, thoughts from you?
No, I'll have to smile at myself because when you were talking about each time we went in to do a demo, and I thought, after the first couple of times, usually I only do 1 or 2 with Taylor, and then he said, hey, it's Michael again. And I said, Mike, haven't we already done a couple of demos? And he saw, yep, they have more questions. And I said, okay, well, let's go. And so it was funny. And then we were getting through the contracting portion, yeah. And I was like, okay, then I wasn't part of big substantial part of that. So then all of a sudden Taylor said, hey, guess what? You know, so he had been working behind the scenes to get
Yeah.
things done and working with your team. So yeah, it was incredible. But at the same time, it's like every time we were on those calls, everybody had really good questions. They were prepared and they were thoughtful. And again, it's just it's refreshing to see someone come into this kind of process with really good questions and determined to find the best solution. So it was
Yeah,
wonderful.
we really, and one of the things that was driving us is that the previous company that PSU had used for the pre-hire, they started out good, but then I don't know, they had a lot of management issues and they really struggled quite a bit. And so I really said my commitment to the contact center and to PSU is I really want to find the best company that's going to work with us. And that's one of the other driving forces that was driving me, because I really wanted to get the best company and organization to partner with. And I'll tell you, you know, we found it. And the other funny thing is, I also asked our team in the beginning, I said, please give me all the vendors that you would like to have a demo with. And so I wanted all their input. That's part of the process of getting input in accepting change. So they gave me all their recommendations. So for everyone, I did a demo with them. And then I actually found eSkill online. And no one gave me eSkill as a recommendation. I actually went online, I did a lot of research on my own, and I found it. And I said, this looks really cool, looks interesting, really different in a great way from the other companies that we were looking at. Now, I didn't, because I was a project manager, I had to be objective. I didn't tip my hand and tell people that. But after the first demo with them, they're like, yeah, this is the one. Of course, they had other questions and we had to do more demos because some people couldn't make it. But it was that first look at it, I'm like, looks really great. And that has been really the story with our company, really no matter who sees it. Now, Kelly, anything else before we go forward?
Nope, that's all I had.
Okay. Is there one
All
more
right.
slide or not? Oh, here we go. So Kelly, so I'm going to talk about Kelly and how great she is. One, the patience to do all the demos. Just really fantastic. Always welcome questions. Once again, has been a great strategic partner. I tell everyone in my company what a true asset she is for our company. We don't hold anything back from Kelly on any of our conversations. We are 1,000% transparent about what we are trying to do and what challenges we may have. I've asked Kelly for best practices and different things, and she finds them for me whenever she has them. And so that's how we look at her. She is a strategic partner. And everyone on the calls, I tell them, I said, she is our partner. If you have a question or if you're curious on something, I said, please ask it. And so she has been really fantastic in providing insight around how to structure the assessments, how to help co-create. She helps co-create pilots. I talk through things with her quite a bit offline. She's brilliant at interpreting data. I am not the best with data sets. She makes them come to life. And she really draws the connection points that is just wonderful. And once again, she shares all the different best practices that she works with from other clients. I also try and share whatever I can with her to reciprocate that, any best practices we're using. And I always tell her, please share it with your other clients. You know, we want everyone to be successful in their own way of how they're doing their assessments. Okay. Once again, the expertise of Kelly is great. The 17 years really shines. And then no matter what we ask for support, they give it to us. And they're always passionate. Kelly's always passionate about her work. You can tell she loves it. She likes doing it. Always willing to take a call. I think one time we had one of our business units, they wanted an Excel, and one of our HR VPs reached out to her, like, we're having a meeting in 30 minutes, could you join? She joined, she created an assessment for Excel within, I think, 2 or 3 hours, and then they wanted some changes to it. So within basically 2 days, they had a working assessment with last minute notice. And they were using that for pre-hiring. That's just one great example of on the fly of how she was really there for us and really made a very important business unit very happy and very pleased. So Kelly, is there anything that you want to say?
I just want to point out that I did not write this slide.
I wrote it.
No, and I think that's our whole that's eSkill's whole approach is we want to make sure you've made an investment in a platform, and so we want to make sure that you get all of the value out of that platform, and we look for people who are just as passionate, and maybe they don't have as much as experience as some of the senior CSMs, but we definitely are all in for our clients. And you know, I get the panic phone calls from some of the other CSMs at 8 o'clock at night whose clients might be having a problem or need, you know, 100 questions added to the editor overnight. We all jump in to help each other to make sure that we have really client centric. We want clients to understand the value, and we also want them to not feel like they're on an island by themselves stuck with this platform, especially when you're just starting or you're just getting familiar with it. So we all roll up our sleeves, and it might be just me being customer facing for my customers, but I'm behind the scene with all customers with the rest of the team. And just like anybody on the team, if I had something going on, like I had a client ask for a series of reports that had to be done within hours, and so we all, you know, rolled up our sleeves and started downloading reports for them. So it is really, it's me, but it's also the team behind me that actually allows for this kind of service.
Yeah, I would say, I would completely say second that motion of, you have a fantastic team. The other thing I can tell you, Kelly, is we've already decided to renew the contract for 21. I already talked to Deb about it. We're going to move forward with it. Just for us, I can't speak for Fraud, but my conversations with them, they're extremely pleased. And I told you there's another large business unit that wants me to do a presentation in January. They're looking at getting their own. And then the contact center is also looking at re-engaging. So tremendous, really tremendous interest and support at PSU for eSkill.
Wonderful. Well, that's exciting. So we're not on video, but I'm smiling.
Well, it's Deb's like, yeah. I mean, she's like, I put that in the budget. She's like, that's going through. My leader is a huge fan of it. She is super excited to see what we can do around that for leadership and for succession. We're also creating some other DEI programs, and I was talking with Deb about it, and I said, you know what, I think we should use eSkill. Because I said what I would like to have happen for the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, because I helped design their program for them with my coworker Elizabeth. I said I'd like to have them take it before they go into the development program, and I'd like to maybe do a midpoint and do one at the end so they can get coached. And so it's a little bit different because the program's, I think it's almost 8 months. And so we probably want to do a midpoint, and then so a pre-assessment, midpoint, and one at the end. And then once again, the coaching guide that we're creating for our other products, we can basically customize it for them. We can customize it each time. And so Deb said, yeah, absolutely, let's use it. So we keep finding more opportunities to integrate eSkill into our company. Okay, let's see here, flexibility. So on the next slide here, flexibility I mentioned several times. As I noted, we're a growing company and we're going a lot of different directions. We're doing acquisitions. So they have the flexibility to grow with us, which we're super excited about. Okay. The 60,000 questions in the library is fantastic. You can also customize their questions as well, which Kelly has helped us do. Every request from eSkill that we have had a fantastic assessment every single time. Okay. We feel the assessments are extremely high quality. The premier assessment company organization right now with us is eSkill. We're really promoting this heavily, probably for the next several years until we make it just everyone knows it. That's really the direction that we're headed because of the ease of use we have with it. The other thing that I really like is that eSkill continually is making R&D investments back into their product. And the reason why I know that is because Kelly keeps telling me the roadmap and what they're doing. And I ask, I'm always intellectually curious of, hey, where are you going with it? And so she always knows the roadmap. She'll share it with me. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. What that really shows me is as we grow and they're growing, they're going to keep having better products and services that they can offer out to us. And the other thing too is eSkill becomes more one-stop shopping. So right now, whenever someone, because a lot of people know about eSkill in our organization, I had a question. They said, hey, before you go with this other company, what does eSkill have? And so then I get on email, or I'll call Kelly up and say, hey, are you going in this direction? If you're going that direction, we would rather use eSkill. And so that's another thing that is really exciting for us. And the price point is, I say, very attractive, because I saw the price points at some of the other organizations. eSkill was easily, the hands down, had the best pricing, and along with the extremely high quality. So they really have a full package and portfolio as to why you would want to partner with them from our perspective. And we are not a multi-billion-dollar company. We make, I think it was around 750 million or so last year. We're a really good sized company, but we're not a Fortune 500 company with a $2 or $3 million budget for assessments. I used to work in Silicon Valley. Google could spend $5 million on one assessment, they wouldn't care. We don't have that kind of money. We do make really good investments, but we also want a really great price point, and this is it. Kelly, thoughts from you?
No, I I love the R&D, because I think our whole team is a process improvement group. We're always coming up with ideas, and we're always coming up with things to make the process easier, the platform easier, more intuitive, and then building on what's already there, which is where the behavioral assessment will come in, and the job matching will come in. Because it's a natural progression of what we could do with the platform. And there's lots of things on the roadmap, and we were just talking about that a couple of days ago on what is a 2021 and what is a 2022, and how much can we fit into 1 year without without completely changing and overwhelming everybody. So it's exciting to see that we have a group of very talented programmers who take our ideas and really try to put them in the best possible light and usability for clients. So I think as a team and as an organization that, again, is really client focused, we really try to understand what are the things that don't make this platform super easy to use, because for anybody who's been on the phone with me for any kind of implementation, I'm always saying over and over is it has to be easy. If we are not the easy button, then what are we doing? And so we really try to streamline workflows. We try to streamline experience for the candidate and for the administrators, and make sure that we have an easy, user-friendly platform that everyone can see some benefit from.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, when our recruiter was on the call in our last call, she said, can you give me one link to send out to all the candidates? And you said, I sure can. And she said, done. Easy for me to do.
Yeah, and that's what I like to hear. I want to hear easy.
Yeah, it worked really well. So that was a great example of the simplicity that you bring to the process.
Wonderful. All right, any other talking points on this slide, Michael?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right, awesome. Okay.
So, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So I won't spend too much time. I've talked about it before, but once again, depends on your company culture as to how you want to market it. I've worked at big companies where it's structured and you roll it out and it's more command and control. I've worked a lot of medium-sized companies. I work in a medium-sized company now where it's very relationship focused. And when you have a casual conversation, that's how we like to have that's how we do our marketing. And for 21, we will be more intentional with it and bring it up more when we work with our different leaders. So we will start more introducing into our conversations. Our HR business partners are also extremely excited about this. They are going to be having conversations with all of their leaders in 21 as well, and really bringing that value. So that's how we're doing the majority of our marketing, and it's working really well. We don't, in our company culture, unless it's a compliance course or something, we typically don't force people to do anything. It's just not the way we work. We really want to influence people and have them want it. So that's kind of how we do it. I know, thoughts from you, Kelly?
No, I would like you to talk a little bit about, because typically most organizations will contact eSkill to start using in talent acquisition, and we start there. So I think it's a very unusual in your approach that we started in learning, development, and training, and we've expanded into some of the talent acquisition piece. So can you talk to me about how that happened?
Yeah, so the interesting part was talent acquisition. I had worked with them before for the other company with the pre-assessment hire. I was their project manager for it. We have a very strong relationship because we're all in the talent division. And so they said, Michael, you did the last one. You did a great job in getting it up and running. So they asked me to come back and project manage it. And so I said, sure, I'm happy to project management it for you. And then basically what happened was I wasn't looking for this, by the way. We were looking for assessments. I didn't know I was going to fall in love with eSkill, and I did. And so then I saw it. I'm like, I started talking to my team, like, this is really great stuff. And so that's when I started saying I want to do a demo with them. And then I told fraud, and I told some other areas. They just didn't have the time to do it. And so that's why it originated. It came in our area. Our folks typically have, probably 15, 20 years experience in our team, and they've worked with a lot of different companies. And when they see an organization like this and what it can do, they saw the connection right away. For talent acquisition, they do really like it. What happened is they're in such a hiring mode for the contact centers. They're really looking to implement this at a later time, probably in 21. And so that's the reason why it kind of got flip-flopped of why it didn't start in TA. It was just bad timing for them. But in 21, they will pick it up at some point. And so it was just kind of, we didn't really plan it this way, but that's why OD and our contact center went first. And so it's actually good because we're kind of showing people the way and with the work that we're doing with eSkill. And so it's building a very strong reputation inside our company. Anything else to tell you?
Well, I think that lends it lends itself to understanding that the results of a skills test don't necessarily need to be a screen, an automatic screen, like, with the cut score.
Nope.
There is a lot more information behind the numbers. Of course, I am the numbers data person, but there's a lot more interesting information about how you can really onboard somebody effectively into any role, whether it's internal or external. There is, because of the flexibility of the skills test in the platform itself, is you have this wealth of information that goes well beyond an overall score of 75 versus 65. But there's really some good information in there, and I think that lends itself to your understanding of being able to see that and then seeing the application across the organization. So I just want to point that out, that there just really is more to skills testing than just a single number to make a decision point on.
Oh, I agree. That's why in the pilot we're having with fraud, it's been so great because they're looking at the data around, well, Michael did really well in this section, but he struggled with problem solving. Now they start to look for, are there other connection points that Michael, that I have? Like, can they make connection points about me? So maybe Michael needs to focus on development in there because we've noticed other things. And so that's why the data set is so rich. That's why it's a natural fit for succession planning, for leadership development, for doing organizational development interventions with other business units. It's a natural fit when you start looking at the data underneath it, and it ties into our coaching culture. Because if you don't have coaching behind this or follow up on it, it doesn't really do much. And that's why we're promoting a heavy coaching culture. I created a positive coaching culture for our contact centers around 3.5 years ago. And that's gone to 2 of our biggest units, the fraud contact center and the contact centers. And so we started the coaching culture at that time, and now we're evolving it in our corporate structure. And so this is a perfect timing and perfect fit.
Okay, perfect. All right, any more comments on this slide?
No, I'm good.
Okay, perfect.
So I'll be brief here. We're running short on time, and I want to answer some questions. Bottom line is I structure every single meeting. There's an agenda, there's a purpose behind it. I outline roles and responsibilities. So when someone comes into that meeting, they know exactly what's going on. I will walk through everything to make sure everyone's on board. If they have any questions, Kelly and I will answer them up front. So I always use structure when anything I do. And that also helps people get acclimated as to what's going on. If they don't agree with something in the agenda, they'll tell me, and then we can realign. That's all I'm going to say right now to save time. And I also document everything and send out action items, etc. Okay, let's go on to your next slide.
Yeah, and I will have to say this, I'll make this small comment, that his notes are impeccable.
Thank you.
Copy and paste, there you go. All right, so in the interest of time, so if you are not currently an eSkill client, then the information on the screen is what you can contact and see one of our fabulous demos. So you're welcome to do that. And I'm going to just go ahead and click it over to any questions. So Dina, I'm not quite sure. Did we have any questions that were in the queue? It's hard for me to see.
Yes, Gary, we have a few questions. Please check the chat pane. I've just pasted them there from the question section.
Okay. Okay, so one is going back to succession planning and assessing cultural fit. How is this done through eSkill?
Do they mean assessing culture of, to better understand the question, so going back to succession planning and assessing cultural fit. Oh, okay. That's a great question. So what we do in the assessment is that we look for things that we know exist in our culture. I'll give you one good example. We're doing huge technology upgrades to a lot of our older systems. So right now we might have 3 or 4 systems for a contact center agent to get an answer. It's frustrating sometimes for them, and we know that, and they know that. So one of the things we look for is, can someone navigate? First of all, can someone toggle to 3 and 4 systems? And do they have the drive and determination to go through and do it? That's one of the reasons why we want to hire someone. So when Kelly kind of put that together, so to speak, it was around creating some complexity which would frustrate people. But that's representative of the contact center because they're in the middle of doing a large migration, but there's still some old systems. And so when we look at from the contact center or other areas if they're going to use it, we try to identify what kind of a profile is this going to work. And we put that in the assessment, and then we assess for it. So that's one clear example that we're very easily able to identify. And there's others, many others. The other thing at PSU, we are a relationship-driven company. Whether you're talking to a member or to someone internally, you have to be courteous, approachable, and to a certain degree likable in how you interact with them. So interpersonal skills at our company are extremely important for us. Other companies, when I worked in Silicon Valley, it may not be. They care about more technology. I know, Kelly, thoughts from you?
Oh no, I thought your answer was good. It was very thorough. And we have several other questions, so
Okay, let's keep going.
my 2 cents is not going to add anything to that. So the next one is, hi Mike, how did you collate the different requirements of the various departments, and how do they share best practice?
Great. So the different departments, let's see the requirements. So basically, I would ask them. I would. So for the contact center, first of all, I would look at their job description. And there's another thing that we use at our company. It's called strategic workforce planning. Strategic workforce planning, I'm actually part of a team where we go out and we help business units create a 3 to 5 year strategy, and talent is a big part of it. And through strategic workforce planning, when we use it, the requirements for talent are actually really clear. We map them out by level, and we work with another part of L&OD to do that. If we don't have strategic workforce planning, I use the JD, but then through interviews, I'll say, okay, for the contact center, I'll say, tell me what would be the 6 most important criteria that you would want this person you're hiring having. So being able to navigate through complexity, patience, etc. So I will literally just ask them, and I'll take detailed notes and I'll go through with them. I also ask the HR business partner, and of course the leaders. So that's typically how I do it. I typically will ask them. So there's different ways in how I do it. Let's see what else. What was the other part of the question?
It was about, well, it's been scrolling down now. I'm trying to find it again.
It's okay.
I think it was around culture, but here's another good one. When you started talking to various vendors, how well did you know what you were looking for?
We had a pretty good idea of what we wanted. So one was flexibility, because we're growing. Ease of use is huge at our company. They don't like complicated stuff. They want something to be simple and easy. We want an attractive price point. As I said, we're not a multi-billion-dollar company. We can't afford to pay $2 million to a company for assessments. We're just not there. The account, Kelly, as a client service manager, it is crucial. because let's face it, we're good, but she's better at knowing the content and helping us and acting as a strategic partner. So that was another thing that we were looking for. Now, the other companies did offer that, but there was not the connection. We didn't really get the same connection with them around their version of a client service manager. And then cultural fit. I think that eSkill is a really great cultural fit. Very friendly, open. They're very patient with us. We ask a lot of questions. So we felt all the way around it was a good fit. I don't know, anything you want to add, Kelly?
Um, well, I don't think I have anything to add, but there's a follow-up question that's in addition to that last one. Did you have a clear HR strategy already, or were you inspired by what the vendors presented to you?
Well, the one that inspired us the most is eSkill.
Okay.
We didn't, I mean, I've worked with a lot of the companies that we vetted. I've worked with them before, not all of them, but I've worked with them. And I've been, you know, I have 20 years. I have a few graduate degrees. I mean, I can look at a company pretty quickly and figure out if it's going to be a fit for the organization that I'm in. We didn't. I'm not going to say we had a like 100% perfect vision, but we knew we wanted a company that could give us a ton of different assessments. Once again, that was very attractive for us, and we wanted it to be a good fit. So we didn't have everything perfectly mapped out. I'd say it's a great question, but we had a pretty good idea of where we were going. The other companies, the biggest drawback, and I'll tell you that right now, is that their models were very rigid, and they could not accommodate things that we wanted. And so we knew that having that flexible piece was really going to be a driving factor as part of our vision.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, and I would just say that I was happily along for the ride, but having been involved in lots of implementations, so I mean literally hundreds, where it was either behavioral assessments or skills testing, and I've seen things go beautifully well, and I've seen things go tragically wrong. And and it's been difficult on both sides, and trying to be very careful about putting your best foot forward and allowing a client to be creative and putting the right solution together versus trying to cram a solution into a platform that really doesn't do that. And so finding that happy balance of what can we reasonably do that's still going to be easy, user friendly, and deliver the objectives that we're trying to achieve. And so when somebody does bring their strategy, I'm just trying to add a lot of the color that goes around it to make it the best version of what that strategy is. Okay. And I
Yeah.
think we got, go ahead.
The thing about strategy is that for HR, their initial strategy was really for the contact center. And I completely respect that because that's what they were looking for. In our talent division, it's very common in OD where we look across the entire enterprise. We look for any connection point we can where it might be helpful. So in fairness to talent acquisition, their scope was kind of set and defined in what they wanted. We typically would work enterprise-wide if we have an assessment that we could use anywhere in the company for a multiple opportunities for integration.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Looks like we covered all the questions. So, and Michael, do you have any last thoughts that you want to share with the group?
Yeah, I'm actually happy if you guys want to have another session. If you want to see some of the stuff that I'm working on, the coaching guide, maybe in January, if people are interested in that, I'm absolutely happy to do that. I'll have the coaching guide done by then. We'll be happy to share that. We'll be happy to share like how our other projects are going, and also what we'll have in flight for 21. I really want to be supportive. If anyone is interested in eSkill, I would definitely recommend you get that demo and see the magic. I will tell you, I would try to get cross-functional representation in there if you can. You'll get different viewpoints. And I would also schedule enough time. The hardest part, and this was not Kelly's fault, oftentimes when we would do a demo and people are seeing it new for the first time, we would run out of time. Typically, we would schedule an hour, and then we eventually went to an hour and a half for a couple of them. So she could answer all of our questions. And so I would just say, really be cognizant of that. People, if they're really interested in it, they'll ask a ton of questions because there's so much you can do with it. And that's the other interesting part is you have to start putting the pieces together when you look at eSkill on where can I use it, what stakeholders might be interested in using it, where can I get traction on it, where can I do different pilots, because that's kind of how our team has been working with them on it. So Kelly, thoughts from you?
I agree 100% with everything that you've said, and I just want to thank you again for sharing some of this. As I have worked with you for almost a year now, and
Yep.
the big thing is that I think it's the organization, it's understanding what the system can do and how you can apply it and really maximize the value in an organization. And that message is what you brought today is again, my entire goal is to make sure that every client gets value out of what they purchase from eSkill, and understanding what's available and how it can be used, and having a good partnership with your client success manager, I think is key. So thank you for helping me explain that to everyone who's listening.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is for adoption, and I noted this early in the presentation, but we've covered a lot of material today, is when we work with a client and we suggest to eSkill, we pay for it out of our budget of the whatever we purchased. Now we're doing that very proactively because one, we think it's a fantastic solution, and we want to remove barriers from people to that would say no, I don't want to pay whatever it is. We want to remove barriers, and so that's one of the biggest barriers. And so then here's a typical conversation. Here's how it go. I'd say, John, how's it going? We have eSkill, and they could potentially help us out with this assessment for the role that you're looking for. And so I tell them about eSkill, and I say, look, since we're engaged with you, we already have an account with them. We're going to take care of that. How many assessments you need, we're going to take care of that. There's no cost to you. And then I explain the process, which you'll be working with your HR business partner, you'll be working with me, and you'll be working with Kelly from eSkill. She's our client services manager. And I explain the process that typically we'll get the job description or strategic workforce planning skills. I'll do an interview with you. We send the data over to Kelly. Kelly will then do a draft. We all meet, and one thing that I do with all the leaders that work with us, I pretty much insist that they need to review the assessment before we have our conversation, so we don't waste Kelly's time. Her time is very valuable, and so when I take her time, my clients need to be prepared. As a matter of fact, one of our clients wasn't prepared, and I said, let's push it off by 2 weeks. So I always want to be very thoughtful and mindful when I'm taking her time, because she has other clients. And then typically those reviews go around 35 to 45 minutes at most, because they've already done the homework, and Kelly we go right through it, and then she gets one out. She gets a revised version out maybe 2 days later. Could be sooner, it could be the same day, depends what she has on her plate. So that's a little bit of insight on how a typical conversation goes. Kelly, thoughts from you on that?
No, that was really sweet of you to give me yet another glowing accommodation. Okay, so I think we're at the top of the hour. So Michael, again, I so appreciate your partnership, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this and explain how you make it seem so easy and effortless working within your organization, and certainly partnering with us.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you to you, Kelly, and all of eSkill. And I want to thank everyone today for taking your time. And once again, I'm happy to do a follow-up if there's any interest in it, to show you the work that we're doing in 21, the coaching guide, etc. So anything I can do realistically to help you out, I'm happy to do. So I'd say thank you to everyone for coming today.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the webinar, and I hope everyone has a great week. Thank you.
Bye now. Thanks.